selling out the Forum. First Madison Square Garden, now the Forum. And he's doing it because the fans just want to see him in the ring, regardless of who he fights against.
Tom, obviously.
Dante's Boxing Nation.
I love it when you say it. I love it when you say it, man. Obviously, you expected Golovkin to win, but did you expect him to win that way against Dominic Wade?
Gennady's at such a point where we always expect him to win. He's such a dominant fighter. With Dominic, you can't take anything away from him. He was undefeated. Emmanuel Stewart used to always tell me, you don't know how good a fighter is when they're undefeated. So they've never lost. You can't really measure that. They could always raise their level when they get pressed. And for Gennady to dominate an undefeated fighter like Dominic is mandatory in 2 rounds. That's a big statement.
Abel Sanchez, he said that it was one point where they had to sue a fighter because he wouldn't fight. He was, and you guys were the mandatory. Or basically what I'm saying is, will you guys have to take it to a legal route if Canelo Alvarez doesn't give you guys an opportunity to fight for the belt and he doesn't vacate and the WBC refuses to take the belt from him? No,
the WBC recognizes that. There's an agreement that in order for Canelo to fight Khan, there was an agreement between the WBC, K2, and Golden Boy. And so it's a pretty clear mandate. It goes along with the WBC rules. Look, Gennady's been one of the most patient mandatory challengers for that WBC title. He became the mandatory October 2014 when he beat Rubio. That's been almost 2 years since Sergio fought Cotto. So at this point, there's really no excuse. Either the winner of Canelo Khan fights him, or Gennady has to get the title. Other than that, those are the only 2 options.
So you really expect that after this fight, assuming that Canelo beats Khan, the belt basically goes into Golovkin's hands if he decides not to fight him next?
Of course, our first choice would be the fight with Canelo. That's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Mm-hmm. When you can say that's clearly the biggest fight in the sport right now today, there's really not too many excuses after that.
Mm-hmm. Question: how surreal it was for in Southern California for 16,000 people cheering Canelo, cheering Golovkin when he was calling out Canelo. It's supposed to be other way around.
Well, it's actually Max Kellerman that asked him if he would fight Canelo, and that's always been a clear answer for Gennady's side. That's all he's wanted to do. He wanted to fight Chavez Jr. first. Now Canelo's mandated, or the WBC champion's mandated to fight Gennady. So there's not, that's not his style. He provides excitement in the ring. He doesn't have to chase people. But at some point, he had the line now. It's like, look, just give me my belt. If you're not going to fight me, just give me the belt, and then he can go on to the next belt. Last year he beat David Lemieux, who was the IBF champion, a big puncher. He beat him, and then this year either the winner fights him or he'll get the WBC title. So step by step, he's accomplishing his goal. When he keeps selling out arenas like this, we expect the ratings on HBO with all the media publicity that he got about this fight. Look, Gennady's now lived in Los Angeles for over a year. To fight Dominic Wade from Washington, D.C. to sell out an arena like this, it's a big statement.
Tom, do you think he's too big for Europe now? Because he used to fight, he fought 3 times in Monaco. Do you think now he's too big? He will have only fights here in the U.S.?
They got big arenas in Europe. Monaco was a special situation. That was tournaments put on by Prince Albert, and that was a special situation, especially when HBO covered the fight against Murray. That was a great, a lot of people underestimate Martin Murray, but that was a big event, especially in Europe. In the UK it was huge, in Germany it was huge, in Monte Carlo it was huge. But when you sell out these type of arenas, or when you sell out Madison Square Garden, now the financial part starts skewing towards the U.S. side, which is great. That's always been his priority, to build his career here. He just doesn't want to lose his European fan base or his international fan base. So we still plan to take him on the road. It really just depends on the opponent.
Tom, what's next for Klitschko Fury? Is there a press conference next week or something?
There's going to be a press conference coming up soon, yes. So that fight's set for now July 9th in Manchester Arena, MEM Arena. That's a big fight. Vladimir wants to show he's still the best heavyweight in the world. He was such a dominant run. Tyson Fury won the titles. He's clearly now has to be considered the best heavyweight champion. So, Vladimir is hungry to get his titles back, and that's a huge fight with the
You've been in
rematch.
boxing many years. Have you ever seen a situation like this where Gennady Golovkin, the king of 160, maybe the best pound for pound, you can argue that he is the best, and he can't get the fights that he wants? What do you do as his promoter?
Well, I think, look, Canelo's not the only choice. That's the first choice, but it's not the only choice. Billy Joe Saunders is a huge fight over in the UK. Danny Jacobs is a huge fight in New York City. Gilberto Ramirez is a huge fight in Texas. So there's a lot of options for him right now, and we just have to go step by step.
Do you call people and they reject the calls when you say, hey, it's Tom Loeffler, I'm calling about Triple G fight, and they say, let's call.
No, that's just like it's not Gennady's style to call people out. It's not my style as a promoter to call people out. Look, if we make offers to fighters and they turn it down, look, they're not forced to fight them. So, we don't go out and start publicizing things. And, it's just, okay, we'll go on to the next. We just have to focus on the people that actually agree to get into the ring with Gennady.
Tom, as a promoter,
Let's say everything falls into place, right? Let's say Canelo gets past perfect will that happens, right? Canelo probably won't fight until September. There seem to be his 2 dates, right? May and September. Is that something that you guys are willing to wait until September?
Of course, yeah. I mean, if it's a September fight, you got to start building that up, pretty much right after the May fight.
Right.
But, we'll have to see. There's no guarantee Canelo wins May 7th, and we'll have to see who the winner is, and the winner then will be clearly mandated to fight Gennady. So we'll just we'll let it take its course, and we have our faith in the WBC. Mauricio Suleiman made the commitment, and we have the agreement. So we'll have to see how it goes May 7th.
Hey Tom, I've heard that you guys don't want to take the fight at the Canelo weight of 155. Would you be open to anything above that, but under 160, like 57, 58?
Gennady feels pretty strong about that. Is that if it's two middleweight champions fighting against each other, and it goes by the WBC rules, there's really anything's negotiable. Whether it's the location, whether it's the splits. But if you have two middleweights, it's almost disrespecting boxing when you have two middleweight champions fighting in a catchweight. So if Canelo wasn't mandated to fight Gennady, sure, then everything would be negotiable, including the weight. But if you're doing a unification fight, that's going to be tough to negotiate the weight. Now, if they want to negotiate splits, if they want to have the fight in Mexico, Gennady doesn't care where he fights. So it's just a matter of putting the deal together.
This week I noticed a new Gennady. He's very outspoken, which he was never. I've known him for like 6 or 7 years. He's always been very, very nice.
That's only because his English is getting better, so he can express himself better.
But it's helping because his popularity is soaring right now, and
Yeah.
people are actually hearing what he has to say.
Yeah.
So how do you, Tom, observe from where he was when you met him to where he is now, popularity-wise?
It's look, when he first wanted to fight here in the United States, and we were meeting with Showtime, we were meeting with HBO, just trying to get him on one of the networks. The boxing fans, the hardcore boxing fans, hardcore media knew who he was. He won the Olympics. He won the silver medal in the Olympics, but he didn't really have a big push in his professional career when he was fighting in Germany. So that was my job to build him up over here. And like I said at the press conference, you can look at it one way where it's been quick in 3.5 years for a guy that was virtually unknown to the boxing fans, now selling out these arenas. At the same time, if we had gotten a Sergio Martinez fight, if we had gotten even a Felix Sturm fight when he was supposed to fight him, if we had gotten the Cotto or a Peter Quillen, or it would have gone a lot quicker. Even Chavez Jr. certainly that would have been a huge fight at that time 2 years ago. So then it would have been even quicker. But I think it's just a matter of Gennady's style. We always knew how good he was and how popular he would become. It was just a matter of him getting the exposure. And fighting on HBO now. I think that was his 9th time on HBO. He's definitely. Look, when you're on the front page of the sports section of LA Times yesterday, and today on the front page of the sports section of La Opinion, that's a big statement. Yeah.
Tom,
Is Gilberto Ramirez the super middleweight who won a title 2 weeks ago? Is that fight possibly in play, or is there's no reason to move up to 68 this year?
Look, first we have to see what Canelo does, the winner of Canelo Khan. Then, again, we'll have to see if Billy Joe Saunders will take the fight. If there's no middleweight champion willing to fight him, then we have to look at the options. We have to look at Danny Jacobs. We have to look at potentially moving up to 168 if Ramirez will take the fight. Look, that's a situation where Bob reached out to see if we were interested, but there's no guarantee that Ramirez, Bob wanted to make the Chavez fight too, and Chavez didn't take the fight. So there's no guarantee Ramirez will take the fight, even at 168. That's the problem where a lot of people say, why don't you move up to 168? But look, whether it's DeGale, whether it was Arthur Abraham would never fight Gennady, even if we went to Germany. So there's no guarantees of that, and that's why his focus has always been to unify the middleweight division. If we don't get a champion, then we'll have to look at all the different options.
Tom,
Is it possible that would just be a one-time thing, and then
Oh
he
yeah.
would drop back down?
No, I've
to
always
60?
said that. I mean, he's a small middleweight. He came in at 159, and that he would do that. He wouldn't move to 168 for a fight and then stay there. He would go fight at 168 and then come back down to 160 because he still wants to show, he wants to break the record of Bernard Hopkins of 20 title defenses. This was his 16th title defense. So he'd come back down to 160, keep all of his titles, and he would vacate the 68-pound title, if that were the case.
Well, Roman, this is the third straight time Roman and Triple G have been on the card together.
Yeah.
Is it possible Roman's going to become too big of an attraction soon that he'll need his own main event?
I think he's ready to become too big of an attraction. When you see all the Nicaraguan flags, if you see the fans chanting his name, I think he deserves headlining his next show.
So Tom, who is, I mean, with you being the promoter, who would you say is more likely to take the fight? I mean, do you have any inside information if Canelo doesn't take it? Danny Jacobs, Joe Saunders.
Dante, it's hard to say because a lot of people say they want to take the fight, and then when it actually comes down to negotiations, then it slowly starts to not want to take the fight. So we'll have to see how it goes. I mean,
so none of them ever like reached out to you and called you up, said, Tom, you know what? We're interested in taking the fight.
None of like which
Billy
names?
Joe Saunders, Danny Jacobs, any of
Saunders,
them?
No, I had discussions with Frank Warren, and they wanted to have one fight, just like Canelo wanted to have one fight. Wanted to have the April fight. He got injured, so I don't know what their plans are now. Look, I think Billy Joe is a great champ. He's undefeated. He's not afraid to fight anyone. He beat Andy Lee. He beat Chris Eubanks Jr., who's a great fighter. So you got to give him a lot of respect. He said that he wanted to make one title defense and then fight Gennady, or fight him in the UK. So until we can actually start discussing terms and dates, and it's hard to speculate on that. Eddie Hearn said DeGale would be interested, but there was no real serious. I mean, he said Carl Froch would be interested, and then as soon as I said, okay, let's discuss how that would work, going to England, and Carl Froch sold 80,000 tickets over there. Then Carl was posting photos on the internet saying I'm too big and too strong, but there were no discussions anymore. And then Eddie was talking about
Kell Brook called out.
Kell Brook, right? Kell Brook. So we'll see. I mean, Kell's a great fighter. Anyone that can beat Sean Porter. I think Sean Porter is one of the best welterweights out there. Anyone that can beat Sean Porter, you have to give him a lot of respect to. So. We have to see how realistic that is. But again, the focus would be on either Canelo or Billy Joe Saunders to get the titles, and then see what other options are out there.
Go ahead.
Oh. Hi guys, do not forget to follow me on Instagram at Janita. Wait, sorry.
It's all good.
Hi guys, do not forget to follow me on Instagram at official Janita K.
Let me see. Let me see it.
Oh, look at you.
Hey, they might.
Dante.
Okay.
Hey.
Dante.
2, 3.
It's a brand new. It's a brand new Instagram because she got hers hacked. So this is a brand new one, guys. All right. There it is. All right. There we go.
Don't forget to follow me, guys. You too, Dante.
I will.